We've seen the goat necklace on Michael. Where's yours?
Yeah, the old TA, I guess, right? I tell you what, you won't see me wearing one of those. They look good in them, though.
They do.
Definitely not my look. That's great.
Tom, in terms of recruiting, obviously you're having a monster recruiting year and have the last couple of years. How have things changed in terms of the doors that are opening to you now that may not have opened for you previously?
Yeah, I think that there's been a definite, shift in regards to maybe the pool of guys that are receptive, and that's been exciting. I would say we expected that. I would have been disappointed if that didn't happen based on our last two seasons, and then I think also just the culture that's been, I think, shown to the country, maybe via social media. I think that's been, I've had a lot of comments of parents and recruits about the videos that they saw, and just how that drew them to want to come and check it out and see if it was really what it appeared to be, on social media. So there's no question. But at the end of the day, it's about performance on the field and being able to break through and win some of those games that we had not been able to do in the past, and put ourselves in position to be in contention for, the Big Ten title race. That's an exciting thing. And so to me, with that, you just stay true to who you are, though, in both the preparation process to get ready for game day and in recruiting. And there's a certain fit that you want in players, and that does not change. We just want to be able to attract guys that fit with us, that can play high-level football.
What are the non-negotiables with players that you have to see, even if they're highly rated, in order to recruit them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So to me, number one, it's young men that care about school. That, I'm talking about having straight A's, but education is important to them. If it's important to them and their families when they're in high school, it'll be important to them when they're with us. And they'll want to go to class. And they'll understand the importance of going to their academic appointments, whether it's tutors, academic support, whatever it happens to be. And we're not having to drag them to class, okay? And so that's what I've said it, I think, from the very beginning, maybe the opening press conference when I was the head coach, that I can do a lot of things, I can motivate, I'm glad to, I want to drive you to greatness, okay? But I cannot pull you. Because if I have to pull you, that means you're trying to go that direction and I'm trying to take you that direction. We're not on the same page and you're not a good fit, okay? And so that's a non-negotiable. The other one is understanding and wanting to be developed as a man. Here's why that's such a big deal, okay? And you say, how do you know that? Well, you spend time with them, okay? You ask them lots of questions. And if you ask the right questions, eventually you're gonna find out if that's important to them and their family, all right? And here's why that's a big deal. So if I'm gonna spend a lot of our time talking about how we develop you as a man, and you could care less, no one's ever gonna say that they don't care about that, okay? But by your response and by the way that you interact right now in the recruiting process, I'll be able to tell if that's important to you or not. And if that's not important to you, half of what I say, you won't even be listening, and it's not even important to you. So that's not a good fit. And then the same with coaches. I want to find coaches that care about those types of things, that they understand the value of those. So when we say fit, that means the things I value matches up with you value. And I just ask them. And then the last thing is, I want guys to love football. If they don't love football, and that's one we got to figure out now, because it's way too hard. And we're not going to lie to guys. If you don't love football, playing Big Ten football and going to class and all the responsibilities you have, you're probably not going to make it, because you have to love the process of what we're going to ask you to do, and the training and just the work that's going to be demanded of you. And so to me, it's guys that love the game, love to compete, okay, love to do the little things it takes to be great in football. Those three areas. So number one is the academic focus. Number two is the emphasis that you want to be developed as a man. And number three, you want to be an elite football player. And so we got to spend all this time figuring out who are the best guys that care about those three things that can help us win championships in Indiana.
Tom, when you look at this team, where can you be better than last year?
I believe we can be better on defense and not giving up as many explosive plays. I believe we can be better on offense and running the football. And I want to see us be better in the return game. on special teams. Those would be one from every area we need to improve on. Yeah.
Where are you guys, and how have you kind of maybe talked with your team, just that whole process and what's in
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations. Really, the goal was to educate our guys. We're at over 90% right now vaccinated, which is a good number for us, and feel good about that. But the bottom line is, it's a decision they have to make. And so life's about choices, and you have to understand the consequences for those choices, you know, good and the bad. That's life. It's no different with the vaccine. You got to make a decision. And for me, I had to make a decision, and I felt like that I couldn't do my job without having it, you know, to be able to go where I needed to go, do what I needed to do, be able to be in this environment and go out and recruit and be in with all a bunch of different individuals from who knows where they've been exposed to. So, and we did a great job, I feel like, as a staff and as a whole athletic department, just educating our guys. And they got to make those decisions. And so I think our guys have seen the value in it, and everybody's got opinions about it. I've got my own family as well, just different sides of it, and that's not here to debate all that. And so bottom line is that there's no question, as you see the emphasis of it, the different conferences and even the NFL, what they're talking about, and I haven't seen all those things yet, but I just know that it's something that we have to deal with, and if a young man chooses not to, then he's going to have certain things he's going to have to do to be able to stay to where he can try to keep himself healthy. You know, so just something we're going to work through as a program, and but I do feel good about where we're at.
Tom, here.
Well, it definitely would affect availability, you know, because the biggest thing that I think happens with it is when you know, if you make the decision not to be, then you will be subject to contact tracing, which is a big deal. You know, we're not going to be doing the daily testing for everybody like we did last year. I think that's pretty across the board. Everyone agrees with that. And so that was how we got away from the contact tracing, you know, because really for us, we struggled until we started testing every day, because contact tracing was just kicking our tail the whole summer and into fall camp. And so that to me is what we will not have. And so getting the vaccination allows you not to have to be tested and not be subject to contact tracing. Okay, and so those to me are those are big things. Those are factual things. So that's just the reality of how it is. And so whether you agree with it or not, that's just the reality of what you're dealing with. And so guys got to make those decisions. So that's where it does affect availability for sure. And guys just staying healthy, because if you're not healthy, then you can't be out there. So because the player safety is still the number one objective here.
Tom, you talked about, in your opening statement about coming back here December 4th. Just to articulate that, I mean, how does that show how far maybe the program has come in 4 years that you've been here?
Yeah, when I first took over, I talked about I wanted to change the expectations of this program and create belief. And so that's what we're doing. And the expectations are changing. And I've said this, I'm not bashful about talking about this, so when I first took over as head coach, I would not allow our team to break anything down on Big Ten champs, because I had heard us doing it before, and I just felt like they were empty words. And I didn't feel like that there was belief in those words, and I just felt like that it was more negative than it was positive. And it's just something we just said, broke it down, and everybody jogs off, So I put an end to that. This is the first off season I've given our players the permission to break it down on Big Ten champs. And so, to me, it's all about vision, mindset, grit, okay? And the vision is very clear. That is the goal, all right? To come back to this facility and play for a Big Ten championship on December 4th. That is the goal, all right? And then you start working back from there with how you get to that goal. And so to me, that is the vision, and the mindset we have to have is that we're gonna affect that opportunity by what we do every single day. Right, and that becomes the focus. And then the grit gives you the perseverance and the passion to work through all the obstacles that you know are going to come along the way, even through a long 2.5 weeks of fall camp and through a long, difficult and challenging Big Ten season. So that's clearly what the objective is.
built this on players selling them the opportunity to do exactly what they
Absolutely.
play in this building.
I've never talked to a kid in recruiting and did not mention winning the Big Ten championship. Matter of fact, I'm looking for guys that believe that we can and we will.
I know you don't bring anything to personal satisfaction, but there has to be a level of pride to see these kids coming through and have put themselves in a position to
There's no question. We finished second in the Big Ten East last year. Okay, so I feel we are very, I don't know if the word's justified, but I feel very confident in stating that the goal is to win the Big Ten East and play here on December 4th. Right? And like I said, I wouldn't allow our players to even say that before. Okay, you have to earn the right to speak as a player when you come into a program. Okay, you have to earn the right to say certain things when you stand in front of the media, I believe, because you have to be accountable for your words. Words matter. Words are powerful. Words are important. Okay, and so to me, it doesn't mean that we got to go out and create those opportunities now on game day. We do, and we got to earn it every single time we take the field. Is that hard? Yeah, it's hard. Okay, I get that. We play in a tough division. We play in a tough conference, and we got a really challenging non-conference slate. Okay, so bottom line is you understand this is division. This is the mindset we got to have to get there. And it's going to take a whole bunch of grit.
Coach, is it
Well, we feel it's a huge part of our program. What I like to explain to recruits is that I feel like that we are one of the best in the country at developing our players, and we give them tangible examples of that, where a young man comes to Indiana with a certain level of expectation as a player, and this is where he's performing now on the field in the Big Ten and in the country. And so I'm excited about that. I think we have to be, as a program, one of our goals is to be the best evaluators in the country. We have to out-evaluate everybody else. We have to be the best developers in the country. We have to out-develop everybody else in order for us to accomplish the goals that we have in Indiana. So that, to me, is the key. And so that developmental part is what we're talking about. It's all these guys now that are being mentioned for different this and different that. That's based on their performance on the field. Okay, those don't just come out of thin air. The guys have to earn that, and they have to make plays on game day. So that, to me, is what this is about. And we want guys that want to come here and want to help us do the special things as a team, because when the team does well, as you just mentioned, those individual guys are going to get recognized.
There are reports that Texas and Oklahoma lead the Big 12 for the SEC. What's your thoughts on that and just the general changing landscape of college football?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I have much of a comment about them. I saw it in the media like we all did, but have not had any other conversation with anybody else about it. Definitely kind of caught me off guard a little bit, to be honest. But, I just think the landscape is changing, and I think that, I even think about, like, West Virginia's in the Big 12. That never, resonated. It doesn't make sense to me, because I was raised when everything was regional, right? And so I just think those barriers are kind of breaking down, and I think, and you think about even the players, that we recruit. Well, they know guys from, like, this guy's like, hey, I'm best friends with so-and-so. Like, but you guys are like 4 states away. They're like, well, we met at this camp, or we met at this, and now we're, and I get it. This connects everybody, right? So I think those barriers are kind of broken down a little bit. So I guess because of that, I'm not as surprised as I would have been, in the past. So I guess who knows what the future holds. I think it's definitely, one thing we do know is nothing ever stays the same, right? And so there's not a lot of constants, but I think that is a constant, that things are always going to change, right? So nothing surprises me anymore, even though I was a little bit taken back with that. I have no idea, how far along it is, if it's really true, if it's going to happen or not. I don't know. But if it does happen, it's going to make an impact, on their conference gaining 2 and another conference losing 2. We're the Big Ten and we got 14 teams, right? So I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be the Big 16, who knows? I have nothing to do with that. But I will tell you this: things are probably going to be changing in the next several years. It looks like.
Coach, as a defensive coach, now there's limits on contact and padded practices. One, how do you think that'll look? And two, how much did last season having to change practice the way that you guys did due to COVID and some of those other things? How much will that help you guys adjust to things like that?
Well, I think it will, but it's interesting. So they came out with their recommendation for what we have to do for fall camp. And I really wasn't that concerned when I saw it because I knew we were very similar. Well, I went back and looked, and obviously this past year was different because of the pandemic. But I went back and looked at our 2019 fall camp progression as far as how many times we wore shells, full pads, and winning spiders. Because I've been we use spiders quite a bit, which is that the padding you wear underneath your jerseys. It's not shoulder pads, but at least protects your collarbone and things like that in your AC joint. So we actually almost use the identical number of those three types of practices already. So it's not going to be a major shift for us at all. And I feel very confident, comfortable with the progression we have. But I do think that we have learned how to practice at a high level in spiders. We learned how to tackle, use a lot of equipment. We use blocking, use a lot of equipment, and try and eliminate the live contact with our guys, which is kind of what we're trying to do here in fall camp. And so I feel like we've kind of repositioned ourselves to maximize our preparation with what we've been doing the last couple of years.
Hey, Coach, on the podium earlier today, you referred to Ohio State as the gold standard. They've won 4 straight Big Ten championships. Can you go into like a little more detail? What is it y'all are chasing when it comes to Ohio State? What just stands out about that program?
They're really good. They got really good players. They got great coaches. Sometimes you play teams, and I've coached for this going into my 30th season, which is hard to believe, but you find a little chink, in whatever they do. Maybe they got a bunch of great athletes, but they're not as well coached, whatever, just different things. But man, they got really good players. They're very well coached. Speed everywhere on both sides of the football. Big athletes. They're impressive, So, and honestly, I've coached in the SEC, and never forget the first time we lined up against Alabama, and LSU, and some of those teams that just looked different than any other team I'd ever seen in my coaching career, and came away feeling similarly, especially Alabama. So it's just you have to play so well to be able to take advantage of whatever you might be able to get, and any mistake you make, it gets magnified, against teams of that talent level. And then the other thing is, a guy goes down, and the next guy comes in, and there's not any drop off, which is not normal. Usually there's a little bit of a drop off. So, I can't say enough great things about them, but yeah, they are the gold standard. The way they've, dominated our conference in the last several years is impressive, and so that's who we are chasing after, because the reality is they're in our division. They're not just in our conference, they're in our division. So in order to get to the championship game, you got to be able to get through and win your division first, right? And so that's, they're the ones in the way, right? And there's other teams too that are really good that are right there with them. So, it's just, but that's why you want to be here. You're in a league where it means a whole lot, to be able to get to this position, and yeah, it's tough, but you know what? That elevates us. That elevates us as coaches, elevates us as players, and the performance we have to have as a football team. So, but here's the good news: you only got to play one at a time. And that's what we're going to do. And right now, the next opponent on the schedule is Iowa.
Your time in the SEC. Having been there, being a head coach here, what are just some of the fundamental differences of not even just the SEC, but football in the South, maybe football in the North? There's number of recruits maybe that are down there. Not that there's not great players up here. Are there any fundamental differences in how you do?
Well, I think the thing that always stuck out to me, or still sticks out to me, is that in that part of the country's footprint, okay, where all those schools are located, they all have spring football. Okay, almost every state does, and so to me, that makes a difference. So I coached high school football in Florida. All right, my first 5 years of my coaching career, and so what you realize when you coach down there, you have a month of spring practice. Okay, probably about 20 some days. Well, we only have 15. So they actually even practice more than we do in college, in high school, all right? And they pretty much, we go a couple days of, shoulder pads, and then we're going right into pads, and there's a lot of tackling and blocking, a lot of fundamentals being taught and developed. So if you grow up in that part of the country, Okay, you have one full extra year of football that you can play, which that's a lot. That adds up. So your freshman year, sophomore, junior, senior, going into your senior year, man, that's a whole extra year because it's 1 month a year, and you just do the math. I mean, that makes a difference. So you have a whole extra year of football that you play, okay? And so that's that whole, so I do believe that makes a difference. And now, from a numbers perspective, football is a big deal. It's after living in those parts of the country, what I noticed, this is my observation, it was football and it was baseball. Those were two, and track was popular as well, but baseball was a pretty big deal. And so basically, kind of basketball was kind of squished in between those two. It really was. And the spring sports started in December, okay? And football always starts at the same time. So it was the basketball was less of the focus, just being real with you, okay? And so basically you had, as a coach, when you had your players, they spent a ton of time playing football and doing things that were, because then the whole summer was spent 7-on-7s, all different things with that. So our son went from, when we moved down to Florida, okay, he played 3 sports. And it became real obvious when he went to play in high school that it was almost going to be impossible for him to play more than just football, because they did something with football the whole year. And it wasn't just like rec stuff. This was organized things with their team. So that just creates a different problem. I'm just telling you, it's called time on task of learning the fundamentals of football and practicing those fundamentals. And so I just think that elevates all those kids and the way they're able to play. So, and because football is such a big deal, from youth league on up, a lot of kids play it. And so that creates, and football's a numbers game, so you have more kids to pick from. Okay, so we can go down to Florida and pick those guys, or whatever state it is. Georgia, we get freshmen from Alabama, we got guys from Mississippi now. Just trying to get guys from that footprint, in my opinion, to be able to come to Indiana and play football. We have a lot of really good football players up here as well. But there seems to be a more focused group of people going after less guys. So it makes it even more competitive to be able to find those guys and find guys you can take and develop. So that to me is, big picture view from my perspective of what I've experienced, why those kids and why you might have more of that down there.
You guys were in a program are you going to have to go down there at times and find the right kids that fit your program and go?
Well, at times, and we'll go wherever. To me, it doesn't matter where they're from, okay? I want guys that want to be here. And that is, to me, hey, I'm going to recruit our state as hard as I possibly can. But if a guy doesn't want to come here, you know what? I wish him well. But you know what? I want guys that want to be here. I want guys that believe that we have the ability to win a Big Ten championship in Indiana. I want a coaching staff that believes that. I want a football team that believes that. And I don't care, I'll go to, New Zealand. We got a punter from New Zealand. We'll go where we got to do to get a guy that believes that this is where he's supposed to be. He wants to be here. He's going to help us win the Big Ten. Well, let me just tell you this. Now, I was a special teams coordinator at Ole Miss, okay? And I learned really quickly the value of a long snapper. Sean was one of the guys I mentioned when I spoke from the podium, okay? And we scholarship that guy right out of high school. We go and we find the best long snapper in America and put him on scholarship. Why? Because that is a critical position, okay? Every point matters. We talked about our kicker. We talked about our punter. Our return specialists, okay? Special teams are a huge way for us to win football games. So, but yeah, it's my experience as a special teams coordinator. I've lived it when those things aren't right, okay? And it's not a good feeling, to be able to not cover, because you're kicking to great athletes every time you kick off and every time you punt. They're best, most skilled guys back there catching the ball. And so, you got to have great coverage. So, to me, emphasis on special teams is not an accident.
Coach, I noticed you have quite a few players from the transfer portal. Given the new rules of the transfer portal not having to sit, how are you viewing that as an opportunity for your team, and how are you convincing guys from all over to come to Indiana?
Well, we did use it more this year than ever before, and but the consistent theme was, finding guys that fit good, and that was my number one objective. So if you look at it, there's a lot of guys, there's relationships, whether it's with myself, and we recruited that young man already before he chose to go somewhere else, which was the case for several of those guys, or one of our coaches coached them, or one of our coaches recruited them heavily, or somebody on our staff worked with this guy, or there's a connection to know, does he fit with us? And and I love now we're kind of the point where guys will say, hey, he's an Indiana guy. You know, this guy fits with what you want in your program and what Indiana is all about. So getting that fit is number one priority, and just meeting needs. You know, so I feel like that it allows us to be able to meet a need in a certain position, to where we can maybe give some younger guys a chance to develop a little bit longer in that 1 year that they come, and gives us a chance to do that. So that's kind of how we use it, but still we never want to do it at the expense of compromising the culture that we've created in Indiana.
Tom, Mike said in a couple of weeks he's going to, be able to do everything but live periods to start camp. I mean, how do you kind of phase him in to hopefully get him ready for September 4th?
Yeah, there's definitely a progression, and he's right where he needs to be with where our medical staff has put him. So to me, that's going to be very important, for sure, to get him in those positions and get him comfortable and get him around. But he's not going to get hit, okay, until September 4th, right? So that's a given, and that's not really any different than any other year, at any level of college or pro. So, but there's no doubt we're going to be closely monitoring that, but it's just keep building, so that way he's able to be full bore, game one.
How great is it to be back with fans again? I mean, it's fans in the stands, people around. How special is that for you?
It's going to be awesome. I mean, to me, that's college football. That's what makes it special. The environment that's created because of the fans. I hated the fact they couldn't be there with us last year, for such an amazing season. So, but yeah, I mean, I look forward to week one, even though we're not the home team. I'm looking forward to having fans, cheering everybody on, because that's what makes it what it is, So it was a very unusual circumstance like none of us have ever had before, obviously. So, getting them back is huge, and we can't wait.
2 years ago, I asked you at Big Ten Media Days about recruiting around the country. How cool is that? I mean, major views all around the country, but getting these kids to come to my year, from all over the country that you experience with them. What's that like for you to bring these kids in and say, I special?
Well, I've always believed in my heart that we could do this in Indiana. And so it is awesome to be able to see that become a reality. And, it's really awesome. I think about the 4 guys that we brought today. They all came believing in that. Okay, we had not broken through before they got here. So all these guys that came today, and all of our older guys, and really the majority of our team right now had a chance to come here. Even you think about even the guys that just came as true freshmen this summer, they had all committed to us prior to the 2020 season. So before we had all the great things happen this past year, they were already on board. So to see those guys rewarded for that and believing in it and coming here, because believing is one thing, but then you say, okay, I am coming to Indiana, and you put your name on a piece of paper, and then you came to be able to be a part of this thing. You've showed the absolute ultimate level of commitment as a college player. You want to come here. You don't just these commitments now are just verbal, right? And so, but they signed and they came because they believed. And so to be able to see those guys rewarded for that, awesome thing. But we just got to keep finding more guys out there that want to be a part of this thing and believe in us.
I'm really into cars, into videos. Where you see that camera you got, came out, I got a Sony 6 I'm a videographer, so I make shooting film, edit videos. Happy with the video stuff.
Well, there's no question. I think that's a very well thought out question for me, because we have to balance that, and we have to rely on him. He's a mature young man. He's been here. He understands his body. So he's going to have to communicate with us how he feels, all right? And so the good thing about Jack, he got a ton of reps in the spring. Michael didn't take any full reps with the offense around him. So to me, that gave Jack a great opportunity. Now you got Donovan, who needs to get himself a lot of reps in fall camp. That's really part of the plan. So to me, we got to do a great job as a staff of maximizing our time, getting him ready. Like you said, he doesn't have to have as many as he maybe needed even a couple of years ago because of his experience, but he's got to be sharp and crisp. And so we'll do that. Coach Sheridan's phenomenal at understanding how to do that, I believe, and he'll do a great job. Well, he came to me and asked me about doing them. Those different places reached out to me first, and so then we talked to him about it, and we felt like it would be very positive for him to do that. And he wanted to, and we wanted him to. So just being around other quarterbacks is great. being around some of these great coaches as well, and just obviously the Mannings themselves, and their expertise at the quarterback position between Eli and Peyton is pretty awesome to have, but I just want him to be around the other players, that there are other quarterbacks from other schools, and be counselors and be able to be a coach in that for those couple of days, and I just think it's a good growth time, helps your leadership, and so it was a very valuable experience for him.
Mobility